Right, this is a question from the crowd. How can individuals, if elected to serve on the county board, county commission, serve, thrive, and not have conflict of interest?
Well, I'm not sure what the conflict of interest would be because the county does not give Thrive any money at this point in time. They had a pledge several years ago that has been paid in full, so there's no money from the county that is going directly to Thrive. What I do want to correct, though, is the mistruth that was spoken earlier by one of the other candidates, because I'm here to speak the truth. You don't have to like what I say, but I will say the truth. And no tax dollars were given as an incentive from Thrive to this housing project that we're working on called River City Flats. Those were private dollars that were invested by individuals and companies in the Yes for Capital campaign. The money that we receive from the city goes into the operations for tourism and economic development, but it is not used for those types of projects. So I just wanted to clarify that point, and I don't know if anyone else wants to answer that question.
Pass. What was the question again? It's been a bit, so.
How can individuals, if elected to serve on the county commission and serve on, and also serve on Thrive and not have a conflict of interest?
Yeah. Well, this is kind of concerning in a way because, I've done a bunch of training with the county. And when you sit as a board adjustment, you sit as a quasi judicial board, which is similar to a court of law, not the exact same thing. So you need to be open on all of this. And I know Thrive gets talked to with a lot of business, and they sometimes help the businesses come into town. And then now you're sitting on, we'll give an example, the wind turbine farm, right? If they had a meeting with them and then now you're sitting on voting for or against it, that would seem like a conflict of interest. And I'll give you an example. If you were getting, if you're getting prosecuted or something in a court of law and you found the judge and the prosecutor went on vacation and talked about your case the week prior to your trial, you would probably say that's not fair, right? And so to keep it fair, if those events would happen, the right thing to do would be say I have a conflict of interest and not vote, right? Even if it's not financial, and you would need to disclose that ex parte information that hey, I had a meeting with these people, 6 months ago, right? And and you can exclude yourself voluntary, or 2/3 of the board can vote and say this person has a conflict of interest. So, thank you.
So I think it's a direct and complete conflict of interest. Thrive deals with a lot of non-disclosure agreements, especially when it comes to businesses that are trying to come to Yankton County, the area. And of course, when you're a county commissioner, you make consumer use permits agreements. You deal with ordinances. You deal with the zoning. So you have kind of an inside understanding or knowledge that no one else is going to have when you're sitting on Thrive and the county commission. It is a direct and complete conflict. And it's a conflict for your voice. It's a conflict against you, the taxpayer. Because when we are giving goodies to these private public partnerships because of extra knowledge that you have, the taxpayer is abused. The taxpayer loses. And the only people who win are the ones who are getting the goodies, like a hyperscale data center who wants 50 years of sales tax rebates to come into a community. They also get the CO2 tax credits. So do wind farms. So when someone in an executive director position, such as an economic development company like Thrive, has that additional knowledge, they can use that to enhance their position. It is an absolute, complete, direct conflict. to the county commission position.
Okay, so yes, I agree, and with like Dan and Julie says too. Again, um, there's definitely possibilities of conflict of interest. That is why we have 5 commissioners, so that Nancy, when she does have a conflict of interest, can step out. That is the purpose of having more than one, more than two. Recently, there was a case where in Cedar County where out of the 3 commissioners, one had a conflict of interest, had to step out. They were down to 2, and they couldn't even make a decision anymore. It just stops the business, and so that's why we have 5. Having a little bit larger board allows us that luxury of when there is a true conflict of interest, that one of us can step back. I know I've done it in the past. There's been a time when we even asked John to do it once because we all discussed it as commissioners openly, and we felt that would be the better choice to do. And that's part of the responsibility of being a commissioner. You're not just looking out at your conflict of interest; you're looking out for the whole board, because we want to keep the county out of trouble. So that's how it works. That's how someone who's the director of Thrive can also serve as a county commissioner. We just have to be very transparent about it and very honest.
Well, like Ryan's saying, basically, you have to have faith that your county commissioner will conscientiously do their job. If they think there's a hint of conflict of interest, they should step aside. But let's be honest about it. A lot of decisions have been made in the past where people could argue this person on the board shouldn't make these decisions on like a zoning decision because they own a farm. Should a person have to step aside if his business, like Ryan's, for electronics, he should actually recuse himself if he's dealing with that person. But being as he is a person trained in electronics, he's also a great amount of value to the county commission to educate the rest of the people on the commission what's going on. Come the time for the vote, I'm going to leave it up to their conscience because I don't know what yours are doing in their head. I know what we hear out front. Let's not just make the rule that because you work here, you can't run for county commissioner. The right to be a public servant is for everybody. That means people that sitting out here in the audience. That means people walking up and down the street.